All right, good morning, you guys. Today we're going to do lesson 90. If you want to do these bell ringers, that'd be great. And I'll give you a chance to do that. All right, so hopefully you pause this and we'll get to it. So the first thing we do is we're going to multiply these two numbers. So you're going to get 21, and you add the exponents, and 3 plus a negative 7 is negative 4. But this isn't scientific notation. The decimal has to go right there. So you go 2.1. And since we made this smaller, we have to make this larger by 1. So negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. And there we go. The interior angles of a heptagon, hopefully you guys know heptagon means 7. And if you just draw any regular heptagon, that's actually a hexagon, isn't it? That's actually a pentagon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From one vertex, you could go here, 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 here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 180 times 5. It's going to be a 0, 0, 900 degrees for all the interior angles. Then when we divide 7 1/4 by 100, hopefully you know to put 100 over 1. This is just a division problem. 7 times 4 is 28. We have 29/4 times, multiply by the reciprocal. And we unfortunately can't cross cancel anything. Maybe that's fortunate because then you just multiply across and you get your 29/400. If you have any questions on this, please let me know, okay? Otherwise, let's get set for a great day. So today we're going to be going through lesson 90. We're talking about mixed number coefficients. Mixed number means something like 4 1/4. Once again, that's mixed number. And negative coefficients, that just means when we have negatives in front. And so the first thing I'd like you to do is set up number 1 in your notebook, which says 2/7 x equals 4. And I would like you to take notes on this and write it out exactly as I write it out, because it will help you not do the opposite. And by the opposite, I mean this. Okay, so if we're solving, you're trying to find the value of x. And when we're solving, you want to get this all alone. Well, right now this is multiplication. So you guys know opposite of multiplication is division. So we divide both sides by 2/7. And I actually want you to write it out like this. Because then watch this. Something divided by itself, 1. 4 divided by 2/7. Hopefully you know to put that over 1. Because then you all know, oh, well, fraction divided by a fraction means you multiply by the reciprocal, cross cancel because 2 goes in the 4 twice. And then you get the answer of 14. Now, in all solving problems, you can check your answer by just plugging it back in. And you check it just by seeing 2/7 times 14. Hopefully that equals 4. Well, if you notice, 7 goes into 14 twice. 2 times 2, 4. So it checks out. So I want you guys to know that you can always check your answers when you're solving. The real answer is 14, but when you plug it back in, if you get one side equal to the other, you did a great job. So right here, number 2, let's see if you can write this out. Negative 1/10 x equals negative 7. What are we going to do first? Well, we're going to use our inverse operations. Opposite of multiplying, hopefully you said, is we're going to divide both sides by negative 1/10. Negative 1/10. And when we divide something by itself, it crosses out, which is exactly what we want to have happen. Then we're going to get x equals, how do we divide a whole number by a fraction? Well, you put that whole number over 1. So you have negative 7 over 1 times 10 over negative 1. A negative times a negative will be a positive for us. 7 times 10 is 70. Please remember, a negative times a negative is always going to be a positive, but a negative times a positive will give you a negative. Right here, I'm going to give you some time. 3 1/3 x equals 5. What does x have to equal? All right, hopefully you see, oh, well, this is multiplication. Opposite of multiplication, we're going to divide both sides by 3 1/3. Now, if you want to save yourself a step, you go 5 over 1 divided by, well, how many thirds is that going to be? Well, 3 times 3, 9. That's going to be 10 thirds. When you divide both sides by 3 1/3, that's the same as 10 1/3. Why does that help us? Because something divided by itself, 1. So you're going to get x equals, and always try to write down, and then you can do a little side problem. You actually have 5 over 1 times, multiplied by the reciprocal, 3 over 10. 5 goes into 10 twice, and then 3 over 2, hopefully you know, is reducing to 1 1/2. So there we go. Right here, let's check this out. We have 2 1/2y equals 1 7/8. I'm going to give you a second to set that up in your notebook and see if you can do the first step. All right, so this one, once again, it's multiplication happening between y and the 2 1/2. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by 2 1/2. But if you remember what I did on last slide, 2 1/2 is the same thing as dividing by 5 halves. Why does that help us? Well, something divided by itself is 1, so we're going to have y equals. When we have a mixed number divided by a fraction, hopefully you know to convert both of them into a mixed number. And so that's going to be 15 over 8 times, multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 5. I always like to cross cancel. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times, leaving us with 3/4. So right here then, oh, you guys already did that one. I should erase that then. Let's do this one. Negative 2/3 x equals 4/5. Please pause it and then see if you can get the right answer before we do it together. So once again, this is a multiplication problem. Opposite of multiplication is division. Whoops. We're going to divide both sides by 2/3. And then when we divide both sides by 2/3, this crosses out. So we get x equals a fraction divided by a fraction. We multiply by the reciprocal. So we go 4/5 times 3 over negative 2. 2 goes into 4 twice. Just make sure you put a negative 1 down here. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. And then hopefully you know a positive divided by negative is going to be a negative answer, 1 1/5. A negative 1 1/5. So our last problem before we get into our assignment, we got a whole number, we get a decimal. See if you can follow the same steps that we have done to get the right answer. Right now, multiplication problem. Opposite of multiplying by -5 is dividing both sides by -5. Why do we do the opposite? Once again, makes it cross out. So you have x equals, hopefully you know, top number goes in the box. And I never put the -5 here because I know that a positive divided by negative, I'll just put my negative here because 5 doesn't go into 0. So I should just put my decimal then. 5 doesn't go into this, so I'm just going to put a 0. 5 does go into 24 though. Let's see here if I can do my math this morning. 4 times 5, it's going to be 20. Remainder of 4, you drop a 0. 5 goes into 40 then, 8 times. Circle your answer. And once again, we can check it by a negative times a negative equals a positive, and go from there. Hopefully you guys thought that today was like really repetitive. What I would like to see, obviously I'm not going to make you do this on your whiteboards. That's more so for the class. But I would like to see how you guys do on F, H. Oh, I should probably do this. So do F through H for tonight. And let's see what kind of start we have on page 621. Yeah. Non-investigation 9, even though you got to do that too. Graphing functions. Yay. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. And then you just have 9 starred. If you can have that ready to go for tomorrow, that would be wonderful. So thank you so much.